What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the first yard. I hope you guys are having a great day today. So in today's video, we are going to be doing yet again another highly requested video, and this video is actually the Madden 21 gameplay sliders for your franchise or just any really gameplay mode in Madden 21. Now, obviously, I have done two videos of these now, one with gameplay, one with XP, and since Madden has been updating the game frequently, and since it's kind of at the end of its life cycle right now, I figured, hey, what's a better way than to kind of sit back down, look at the drawing board, see what worked with my previous sliders, and then improve on them. So hopefully, through these sliders that I'm about to show you, you guys will be able to see like a difference in the actual gameplay. Hopefully, people will not be teleporting around. And as always, the actual goal of making this type of, these type of sliders is to make it as realistic as possible and fun. But with that being said, all I ask of you guys is, as usual, if you guys do like this type of content, please do make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. We are pretty chill around here. So if you guys want to stick around for a little bit, I do a lot of MLB The Show type of content. I do some Madden 21 type content. And hopefully Madden 220 or Madden 222 type of content. So if you guys want to see that, make sure to stick around. But with that said, let's roll the intro and let's get into these sliders. And we are back. So really going over to start off this video, obviously as you see here, I am using my New York Giants as usual, and we're obviously going to be doing the preseason out. It doesn't really matter if you're gonna put in the sliders for the preseason or week one. Just know that if you import the sliders when you're starting at week one, those sliders won't actually apply for when you sim through the preseason. So I recommend actually importing your sliders right when you join the league during preseason of week one. Now, in order to actually get these sliders, what you need to do is go over to sliders, and you can either go ahead and actually put in the actual numbers for the gameplay here. I'll pause for a second so you guys can take a screenshot of this, or you can actually go ahead and possibly download these. If we hit around, I'm gonna say probably 15 likes on this video, I'll make sure to actually put these on the Xbox Madden 21 share file for sliders for you guys. But anyway, with that being said, what we're going to be doing here, first of all, is looking at the player skill. So honestly, the player skill, I didn't touch too much here. I think the player skill overall is pretty good. The one thing that I will say, though, is pass blocking you could boost up around to 52, 53, just because that is the thing that, obviously in the NFL, it'll define the really good offensive line versus the really bad offensive lines, especially if you're actually playing the game. But with that being said, quarterback accuracy is 50, pass blocking is 50, wide receiver catching is 50, run blocking is 50. You can even possibly boost this up as well to 52, no higher though. Fumbles I did bring down a little bit to 47. The pass defense reaction time I brought down to 49. Interceptions I brought down to 38. Then you have the pass coverage left at 50. The tackling I also left at 50. Now looking at the CPU skill, this is where I changed a lot of things up because the CPU just seems to be really insane, especially on All-Madden and All-Pro. But with that being said, the CPU skill for the quarterback accuracy I did bring down to 48. The pass blocking I brought down to 47 just because usually if you send a blitz or something like that in a very close game, the offensive line for the CPU tends to actually be really overpowered. So bringing it down to even 45 to 47 should help out with you actually being able to have pressure against the quarterback. For the wide receiver catching, I brought that down to 48 because wide receivers pretty much catch everything in Madden. Realistically, in terms of with actually happening in the NFL, not really, so I brought that down to 48. Now obviously for the run blocking, running in Madden 21 can be a bit insane. So what I did here is I took it down just by 1 to 49 fumbles. Honestly, I put it at 60 right here because it just seems to be like the CPU does not fumble, and obviously in real life, running backs are going to fumble, players are going to fumble, but in Madden, it does not happen unless you're the quarterback. So really, with the fumbles, it really only applies with wide receivers, running backs, and also the quarterback, but mainly just the running backs and wide receivers. So really, you could even put this up to 65. Would I put it up any higher? I mean, if you think that you need to put it up any higher, definitely go and do so, probably up to 70. but right now we're going to leave it at 60. The pass blocking or the pass defense reaction time I put down to 42 because this hopefully will reduce the amount of times you're going to see like defenders teleport, and actually in my opinion leads to a lot more realistic coverage with DBs and wide receivers. Wide receivers are actually going to get a little bit more of a gap if they have, you know, a really slow corner and they're a really fast wide receiver. You actually get that separation against them. Route running seems to be way smoother with the wide receivers. And teleportation, I will say it does barely happen, but for the most part, I have tried to reduce it as much as possible. Now, obviously, you can put this down to like 38 if you want to, but for right now, I'm going to leave it at 42. Interceptions in Madden 21, especially in franchise mode, are absolutely insane. So honestly, I have it at 32 right now, but you can even bring it down to 29. Really 32 to 29, that is the really sweet spot there. For the pass coverage, I have 46. The reason being, once again, because coverage in Madden 21 with the CPU is absolutely insane. So bringing it down just a little bit, once again, will help with wide receivers actually being able to get open, gives the quarterback a little bit more opportunities to actually find guys that are open and complete passes. And the tackling, you know, tackling pretty much for Madden 21 has been pretty realistic in my opinion. Obviously not the animations, but in terms of like how the tackle ratio, it's been pretty good. So I just took it down by 2 notches down to 48. Now looking at the special teams here, obviously in the NFL with field goals, kickers can kick it really far nowadays. So I put that up to 70. Field goal accuracy, I brought it up to 65. And for punting, obviously punting doesn't happen too much in the NFL anymore, but when it does, you have to be, you know, a pretty skilled punter in my opinion. So with the punting power, I brought that up to 55. The punting accuracy, I took down to 45. And then the kickoff power, I left at 50. Now, really, the game options here are all up to you. All I will say is that keeping the fatigue up at 60 allows your actual, you know, backups for wide receivers, for instance, and corners. They're actually going to be able to get in the game, which in my opinion is actually pretty realistic, as you don't always just see, you know, the top number 1, number 2, number 3 wide receivers in the game the entire time. They do get tired, so bringing it up to 60 means that you can actually have your second string guys, which also means that they have a chance to develop quicker. Now, looking at the injuries here, I brought that down to 18. 18 to me seems like a pretty good sweet spot just for the injuries. It doesn't happen, like too many injuries don't happen, but at the same time, not enough injuries don't happen. So it's a pretty nice sweet spot. And then obviously with the player speed threshold, I left it at 50. You can bring it up if you want, but I think 50 is a pretty good level here. Now, obviously for the penalties, I left everything at 50 besides the defensive pass interference. I brought that down to 45. Now, you can even bring this down lower just because pass interference in Madden 21 is a bit much, especially with the CPU, so you could probably bring it down to like 42. I really wouldn't go any lower than 40, however, so 45 to 42 seems to be pretty good here. And then obviously we have everything else on. The one thing that I will say though is that if you really like, if you don't want to get trolled or anything like that, I would probably turn off probably I would say roughing the or running into the kicker. That one you could probably turn off. Now obviously roughing the kicker, I mean, sure, if you want to have it, honestly, you can have both these off, but in my opinion, just have either running into the kicker or roughing the kicker on and off, really, whichever one deals with the PATs. And, you know, if like a guy's trying to troll you, keeps running into your player, definitely turn one of those off, whichever one it is. You guys can definitely, you know, mess around with that. But with that being said, these are all of my Madden 21 actual gameplay sliders. Now, obviously, I probably will have another one coming out for, you know, the very last stage of Madden 21. For those of you who are not going to be buying Madden 22 when it first comes out, I also will be doing a review of Madden 22 once I kind of get a good feel of the game. And with that being said, obviously all of these sliders only apply when you're actually playing the game. I did get a lot of questions involving like whether or not these sliders were going to be implemented when you're actually simming the game. As far as I know, not really. This really just gauges how the CPU is going to play when you're actually playing them. And then I guess another question that I got a lot of the time was just how, you know, if you want to do something really creative and you want to actually have the realistic draft class or like the draft order from this past year's draft, really what you want to do here is you want to go ahead and go over to your schedule, and then from your schedule, obviously you want to go ahead and go to your team schedule, and you can actually go ahead and sim like force win, force or force like away losses, force home wins for your actual team. So really being able to do this, you can do the entire season. and you can end up with the actual record that, let's just say, the New York Giants got in their 2019 to or 2020 to 2021 season. So with that being said, I hope all of this was very helpful to you guys. I am working very hard to make sure that these gameplay sliders are working as best as they can. Now, obviously, as always, I am continuously working on these sliders, so they're not going to be perfect, but I hopefully, have helped you guys out with Madden 21 and franchise mode. But with that said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you are new. If you want to stick around, see some MLB The Show content for like Road to the Show or even Madden content. And with that said, I will see you guys next time.